Vice President, with due respect, needs to go back to elementary economics. The whole idea of economics is to choose alternatives, to choose from alternatives, to make a choice. They made the wrong choice at the wrong time, and that is where they are suffering consequences. And you need to understand that why I have zero sympathy for them is that, one, they were the party in power before, and they said that they will continue where President Buhari stopped. Secondly, they said that they understood the problems at hand. The president said, don't sympathize with me, don't pity me, I know what I'm getting involved in. Thirdly, the problems that they said they are solving were caused by them. The inflation was caused by them. The rise in factor cost was caused by them. And the mischief, which they said they were going to solve, which was the subsidy, they've not even touched it on the surface. So these are their own crises. It's just like someone coming to the China shop with a bull and later says he's doing remedial operation there. You will cause the damage. So nobody should tell me that there's no alternative. I can give you 5 good alternatives immediately.
Quickly.
No, what makes it different?
Alternatives.
It is easier to talk if you don't think. But if you think, you will think thoroughly before you talk. And when you talk is where you will walk. So they have not been thinking. And I'm not saying this just to be funny with them. Emilokon, it is my turn. It's not an economic philosophy. So, and the essence of coming is to tell us what you want to do. Dodging debates is not an economic policy. Bala, Blue, Bulaba, all of those babbling, it's not an economic debate. So they did not articulate what they wanted to do. They did not understand the implications of the decisions they were taking. And they do not have the executive capacity. That's the problem. So they're not going anywhere. You can give them 40 years. They're not going anywhere. This is why, if you look at the First Republic, the most dominant education that people had is the PPE, philosophy, political science, and economics. If you don't have that knowledge, you cannot work for the common good. What you need to understand is that the productivity of a country is tapped from the people who are in that country and from the resources that the country is endowed with. That was why David Ricardo came with what he called comparative advantage. What does it mean? It means that you plan your economy according to your geography and your history and the vision you have for yourself. So you don't copy holus bolus from another place. For example, look at the CBN. He is doing Paul Volcker. How can you do Paul Volcker? Because he is thinking, if I raise interest rates, if I keep raising interest rates, I can fight inflation. So that's what he's trying to do, what Paul Volcker did in the 80s for Jimmy Carter. What Cardozo is doing in the CBN makes no sense. Right. Because what is driving inflation is factor cost. It is not the availability of credit. The problem they have is that they went and devalued the currency and had illusion of money. In which case, you will say, oh, well, we used to share 2 trillion. Now we share 10 trillion. But your 10 trillion is not up to the dollar of the past. And if you look at the contraction of the economy, our foreign exchange earning is still stuck at the real value of the 90s. So, which is why I say, why don't you employ the people? Right now, they are not employing people.
Right.
So they kill all the institutions that can employ people, and they are also not making an incentive for doing business in Nigeria. If you look at global incentive, look at the US. What is the incentive? Incentive is availability of credit. Anybody wants to do business anywhere in the world, you cannot get a better credit facility than the US. In China, you have infrastructure support. So with $1 million, you can have a factory of 1 billion because the state will support you, everybody will support you. Now in Europe, why do they support you? They support you with social services. So if you hire workers, you don't have to worry about transportation, you don't have to worry about insurance, health, and all of that because the state is taking care of that. Here, the only thing we had before was because we produced crude oil, so we had low energy costs. So if anybody wanted to invest or produce in Nigeria, anywhere in the world, they will say, oh, Nigeria, go there, they have low energy costs. So go there. Secondly, because they have low energy costs, you can pay little wages to workers, so you have cheap labor. That's all gone now. And they are showing crass economic illiteracy. And that is a problem. And if you look at the way they are even analyzing data, you just don't come out and say, the economy, there's no alternative. You put your data together, then you do econometric analysis of your data, and you get a data-driven decision making. It's not dogmatic. If when you are taking a step, every quarter you look at it. Look at their medium-term expenditure framework. They're not keeping to it. There's nothing they're keeping to.
Are you in that camp of people that say that we are being held hostage, that the people that are running the country are not even in charge?
They're not running the country. They're doing business. Occasionally, they get distracted with governmental duties, but their primary business, they are just business people. And they think, that's why they are trying to run petroleum industry rather than have a regulatory framework. They're not running the economy, they're not running government. They're just trying to, they don't see you and me as citizens. They see us as customers. So they are mercantile in their approach. So they see you, oh, you're a customer, I can get extra money from you by hoarding petrol. I can get extra money from you by underfunding public education. So they're not really to do anything, and they're not willing to comply with Chapter 2 of the Constitution, which stipulates how governance should be done in Nigeria. What's the responsibility of government? Call anybody in government. They are not responsible for anything.
Right.
Because the Minister of Water Resources is not responsible for whether you have water or not. The Minister of Education is not responsible for educational outcome, whether the student fail WAEC, fail JAM. It's not responsible. The Minister of Health is not responsible for life expectancy or medical outcomes. They are just carrying these titles to enable them to put their signature to award contracts. But they're not, beyond that, they're not going to do anything. Remember that in the past, Lagos had the best water in all the English-speaking world. Lagos.
Yeah.
Better than London, Brisbane, Ottawa, anywhere. Nobody is giving water to anybody. Before, we had the best hospitals. UCH Ibadan used to come first or second, the entire English-speaking world. They're not doing any of those things. So we have people who are in power, but they're not in government because they're not governing.